Hello everyone, my name is Rames Harikrishnasamy and I'm super excited today because in this video, I am going to show you guys how to create this particular artwork featuring Shivalinga, the bull, hanging Hindu bells right on top there, and how do you make the whole environment with the grass and the background itself. So are you guys excited? I know I am, and these are the stock images that I'll be using for today. Super happy that you guys joined me on this journey. I hope you guys watched my previous photo manipulation. I have received quite a bit of feedback and good comments from you guys. Thank you so much. And why don't we get started? First thing first, make sure the canvas is opened up. Again, I always like to create my artwork in square format. It's up to you guys whether you want to create in square format or a wider format. It's all up to you. But in this case, I am going with square. And if you're wondering what DPI and all that, you can actually see it at the bottom of my screen is 72 DPI. The reason is because I'm gonna use this artwork to post it on social media, and I don't need it to be in such a high resolution. So this is just perfect. So why don't we get started? Today, since we'll be using the artwork that I showed you guys earlier, first thing first, I am going to drag in my first stock image, which is the bull. I am going to just resize it very quickly. There you go. I'm going to position it right at the bottom here. All I'm doing is just using Control T, Command T to just resize it first. Just a rough positioning. Again, we can always adjust it later on, so you don't have to be like stressed out. Like it should be there from the beginning. We can always move things around. So this is this. Second, we are going to create the base. If you watch my image earlier, which is this one, we're going to create the base. For that, we're going to create using the cement, what do you call the stock image? There's two of it. But in order to create that, we need to first edge out, or should I say, cut out the image from the background. Right now, it's having a white color background. If I close my background, you get to see, there you go. I am going to just quickly press W. That's the shortcut for select subject. Right on top here, you have select subject. I want you to just select on it. Automatically, everything gets selected, which is perfect. Let's zoom in and see. There you go, it's highlighted. There are certain parts that we don't need, but you don't have to worry. We can always erase it later. Everything else looks good. I am going to just select this area over here. So I'm going to use, I press on L so that it get me the polygonal lasso. And I'm going to just get that part of the leg. Again, to remove, I'll just press on my option button and alternate button for Windows to deselect. There you go, looks good. And I am going to go down here underneath the layer format here right now, the layer, and I want to click on the, again, on the square with a circle in the middle. So that's perfect. So that's where the masking happens. This feature is super important. We use a lot of masking when we do photo manipulation, so that, again, why we use masking and why did you not edit the image, because smart object is super important. Whenever you drag in any image onto the canvas, always make sure that, again, Photoshop automatically turn it into a smart object every time you drag image inside. Why? Because if you double click on not the black area here on the layer, go back to the image, you can see a small icon image at the bottom of that image. Just double click on it and you get back the original image. What is that mean is that you do not go and edit on the original image. Always do masking and whatever alteration or color modification you want to do right on top of that layer, so that you do not affect the original image. So it's very important. I'm going to close that image. There you go. This looks perfect. Again, I'm going to just turn on the background. Again, I like to work with a background. If transparent, it looks like empty, and I don't know where am I with my cursor and all that. So for that, and now I am going to create the base. The base, I will create it using the shape first. If you watch my earlier videos, you'll get to see how I create those shapes. All I do is just press on U. and automatically your shapes will be highlighted on the toolbar. Make sure that it's square, not circle, ellipse or triangle or whatever, not just rectangle tool. And I want you to roughly create a base. Again, this can be around this size or whatever size that you think might work. Oh, right now what happened is that the stroke is turned on. You don't want the stroke to turn on. Make sure the filled area is filled. Again, any colors will do because we're going to fill it up with the cement texture. So that is perfect. I am going to just scale this like this. There you go, like that. I would need another rectangle. Let's go underneath that rectangle number one and create another one. This time, let's switch off the stroke and change to another color, probably red. There you go. And maybe you want to zoom in so that we can see more detail of that area. There you go, like this, and just work around this area here. And if you're wondering what is this, this would be the base of the cement. And I know what you're saying, Ramesh, it's not supposed to be that shape because it need to look slanted because we're going to look at this straight perspective, right? For that, we need to resize. All you have to do is press on Control T or Command T, press on it, you get that, and press on Shift so that you can do this. Again, just resize it like that, and make sure you right click on it, press on Distort because we are going to distort like this. Again, perspective, right? And I am going to just move this down like around there. Looks good. There you go. That's the base that I was talking about. And any colors will do, again, any shapes color, because this is to just to guide you on the positioning of the cement, what base and whatever not, right? Like what texture goes where exactly. Now that we're done with the shaping, time to bringing the cement stock image. So I'm going to just go in and drag that image into my canvas. Right now it's in between the shapes, that's why you can't really see it. Let's drag it right on top. Again, how layer works is that you can always drag anything on top of each other, whichever that's right on top, that's the one will be visible. For this cement, I am going to do a masking. So press on alternate or option button on your Mac and you'll get a small little arrow like this. Press on it and you'll get to see that the cement is now masked within that shape of the blue color rectangle. So I'm going to just resize this very quick like this. Let's move it up like that. Perfect. And of course I need another cement again, or I can always duplicate this cement here and resize it, or I can just always bring in another one. And for this, I am going to drag in the cement right at the bottom of rectangle 2. Press on Alt button. There you go. Mask it. And for this, you need to make sure that you right click and change to distort because you want to make it slightly slanted to follow the base of the cement. For this, press on right click, press on distort. Let's do the manual fixing here. Right now, again, I'm going to do this like that. Make sure I move it at the side and then press on shift so that I can move just like that. There you go, that looks good. But again, try to follow the shape of the base. I am going to just make it slightly larger. And then I'm going to again right click, distort, and I'm going to shape it according to the cement. As you guys can see, right, the edges of my selection, I'm following the perspective of the base. There you go, that looks good. As if the cow, oh sorry, the bull is actually lying straight at the side of the cement. That looks good. It's more like a resting. That's that. Everything looks good. We'll be adding another texture of the symmetry right on top of this, but for now we're gonna fix few little stuff, which is the background and stuff like that. So I want you to go right at the bottom, which is the background itself. Let's drag in the first background, which is this. I really love this background because again, I always like slightly muted colors, and that's what we're gonna do for this photo manipulation. We're gonna play with some muted colors, not so vibrant, so that it has a bit of feel to it, like very warm colors. For this, I am going to just resize it, move it up just like this. That looks good. And you'll be wondering, oh, this is a new feature that we're going to do today. That area on top here, it's blank. Because I really want the trees sits right at the back of the cement, not too much up, not too much down, right there, here. And I'm not going to move anything else. In order to fill the area on top, all you have to do is press on the plus button over here. That's new layer. Once you do that, I want you to press on M, which will be the selection tool for marquee. It will be in a rectangular shape. And I want you to just highlight on top here. Just like that. Remember, it's right on top of the background landscape that I've just done. I want you to just right click on it and choose content aware fill. And what it does is that Photoshop calculates and know that, oh, you want to fill it up with clouds. Again, what it does is that, as you can see, it calculates the green area and go like, okay, I should fill it up the rest with this sky. So once you're done with that, just click on OK and you get the sky. Isn't that perfect? Everything looks cool. It's so nicely done that it looks so seamless. Like you don't know where's the point where it started the covering up the whole sky. Isn't that cool? Same thing at the bottom here. I want you to do the same, but again, before we do that, I want you to group certain things, right? Like for example, what we did was earlier is we managed to create the background with the sky. I want you to just select on all these layers here and right click, convert to smart object. Let's call this background. There you go. That's good. Again, because I don't want to edit so many effects on it. Like I like to protect that image, knowing that I can always go back and edit it later on if I want to. Next, we're going to work on the ground. If you notice, the ground, it's not something that I fancy. Like I don't really like these very dry looking grass. I have another stock image that I want to import. In order to do that, first I need to mask out this grass away from this image. How I'm going to do that? On the background, just make sure that you click on it and press on the masking feature right on top of the layers here. Add layer mask. Perfect. Now this image is layered. Whatever you do to this image, it won't damage the original image. And I want you to make a subtle gradient on it. Press on G. And if you notice, you will get selected whichever feature that you last used. The last toolbar that I used way earlier was the bucket. I want you to press on G again until you get the gradient. There you go. It changed to gradient. And on top here, I want you to go to basic to this gradient, black and white, right? Select on it. And I want you to go down here where the grass is. Click on the edge of that particular grass and move it up slightly, just like that. We will fix the rest later. And now that we're done with this, I am going to bring in my second background image. I'm going to drag that in. There you go. I kind of like this grass more than that one. Again, we don't need the background. It just doesn't work for this one. So the background that we just drag in, we need to move it down onto that background. So here, what happened is that if you just show and hide the layer, you get to see that it kind of, what you call, blend really well with the background because we use a very smooth gradient. So what happened is that we slowly mask things out. So rather than have a sharp cut, we use a gradient so that it masks out very smoothly. And now that we're done with this, I need to resize that particular grass. It's actually a mixture of ground and a dry grass, right? They go like this. Enter. So now if you see it, everything looks so seamless. Like you don't know where's the cutting area. Everything looks real. Now that we're done with this, I don't really like the contrast of the grass, as if it doesn't really match with the background. So I want to adjust that. So let's adjust that, right? So I want you to go to the circle that has the black and white area here and press on brightness and contrast. When you do that, you'll get the what do you call panel, like a property. And I want you to just move the contrast low. When you do that, let me just zoom in and so that you can have a look. Can you see that? Right. Right now it's very contrasty. I hope it's a word. So drag it down, probably negative 21. That looks good. There you go. Just leave it the way it is, so that we're done with that one. Now it's time to work on the bull. The bull looks very contrasty, right? We know it's like a cut and paste image. We don't want that. When it comes to photo manipulation, it's super important for you to adjust the hue and the contrast of that particular subject so that it looks real. In order to fix that, I want you to go to the bull and press on Control U. When you press on Control U or Command U, you'll get this particular property, what do you call, pop-up. Reduce the saturation. When you reduce, it kind of already match with the overall background, right? And I want you to drag it to at least negative 46. That looks good. Okay, now that we're done with this, when you zoom out, I love zooming out and see if it's getting there, right? There you go. It looks great already, but there are certain things that I need to fix. If you zoom in, because of the selection tool, right, you get sometimes, right, not most of the time, you get a very thin outline around it, right? And that outline probably could be one of the hardest thing to remove. That's what you think. Actually, there's an easier way to remove a very thin outline of the image that you mask. And how do we do that? Go back to the bool layer, click on this black color square of the masking, and I want you to go to filter, go to other, press on minimum. And let me zoom and show you what just happened. Let me just zoom in, zoom out of this. Oh, okay. Probably I zoom into the wrong one. I want you to go back to the layer, press on the bool, and let's do that one more time. Filter, other, go to minimum, right? When you do that, not that one. My bad. Sorry. Let's do that again. Filter, go back to the layer where there's a black color box. Filter, other, and minimum. And I want you to look at the preview here, right? Can you actually see that? Here, let me do that one more time. You'll probably get to see it. Preview, the outline have been removed from the image, right? I don't have to manually remove the outline part by part. It will take a longer time. And you have to be really, really, I mean, you have to have a lot of patience, basically. So when you do that, it's been removed. So again, everything looks clean and perfect. And I am going to just zoom in and fix certain things. Let me see. So let's press on B, again B for brush, and look for the right brush. Again, I have a preset brush already. I'm looking for something that's a bit smooth. So brush smooth here. And let's zoom in and clean up certain areas, especially over here. There you go. I am actually cleaning. Hope you guys can see it like that. Perfect. And let's just look for another area. Here I'm cleaning. Again, what I'm doing is that I'm slowly removing certain areas that I don't need. It probably is the stain from the image it was previously, the background. I'm going to just remove certain areas again so that it looks more natural, as if the sand or the land is over a bit over the where the bull sits, so that it's more natural. If a straight line doesn't make sense, right? Obviously, you need to make sure that you clean up that area so that it looks more natural. That's the reason why I'm doing this masking over here. Again, you can use whatever brush. It can be a grass brush. Again, everything is free. If you check your general brush, you probably get more. And make sure that you also look for free brushes. I think one of my favorite was the there's a recent one I downloaded. I can't remember. I think it was this one over here. It's the Linite brushes, which we're gonna use on our upcoming videos. I'll show you guys more in the next videos. So that's that. I am just doing some cleaning, making sure that everything looks real. That looks good. Just the edge, nothing else. Body top part looks good. Let's zoom out. Okay, that looks good. And then now it's time to work on shadows. shadows is super important. If you watch my earlier video, I did explain to guys how to look for the source of light. Again, previously when I was like, again, many years ago, when I was doing my photo manipulation, I like to draw again a sun and then say that sun is over this side, or whichever sides that I want, right? Again, you decide. Now that the bowl is sitting this way and I feel like the light is coming from top here, so that will be a guidance for me to work on the shadows. First we're gonna just quickly fix the cement and then we will come back to the bowl. So now I want you to press on V. So V is for, again, it depends. You need to make sure that you on, if you see my cursor up here, from auto select, make sure you tick the arrow so that you can move things around. Every time I select on any image, check what happens to the layer. It moves things around, right? There you go. And I'm going to press on the cement here. And right on top of the cement, I'm going to press on Option button or Alt in Windows. There you go. I'm going to call this shadow. Make sure you change the layer style for shadow from normal to soft light. When you do that, the whatever color that we're gonna put in will be very smooth and it's not so harsh, so that whatever texture right the back of the shadow that you're gonna put is still visible. So again, before you color it, I want you to use gradient to do the coloring. Let's not do a manual work here, and look for the black and gradient area. There you go. And for this, knowing that the sun is right on top, and obviously whatever that's in the front will be brighter and the back will be slightly darker. So that's what we're gonna do. And if you notice, if you look at where my cursor is, I'm to just do it this way. Can you see that? Let me do one more time. Knowing that the sun is in the upper part, left upper part of my artwork, I'm to just drop it like this, and leave it the way it is. And I am also going to add in a bit more shadow right on top of this shadow. Let's call this bull's shadow. Okay, and change your brush to something huge. Let's call this brush, okay, yeah, the bigger ones. And then again, I'm using the opening bracket and the closing bracket to increase the size of my brush. You can do that. Again, shortcuts super important. So that I can adjust according to whenever I like, right? Rather than using this slider over here. Again, our main goal is that to get things done fast in an efficient way. So I am going to quickly zoom in and create the shadow of that particular bowl. There you go. If you see, I'll make sure the normal to soft light. I am manually adding in the shadows, just very subtle. If you look at my flow, it's always 33%. It's not 100%, else it will be very harsh. So you want to check that. There you go. That looks good. Okay, that looks realistic. And of course, the front part of the cement has to look brighter. And let's create another shadow. Let's call this sun's light. Okay, change normal to soft light. Let's pick a color from that particular cement itself. Maybe this, and then let's brighten it up like this. And then again, press on G, you already get the gradient. Soft light is turned on. I want you to bring your cursor right on top of here and put in the particular gradient. So what happened here is that it's brighten up the front part of that particular cement, right? Why all the shadows are super important? It's super important because if you hide all the layers that we have done so far for the lighting, you know how realistic we're gonna achieve, right? So just turn it off like this. Just press on the eye, right? Look at this and quickly turn on the rest. There you go. It brings out the realistic feel of that particular image. Okay, now that we're done with this, it's time to work on the ground. As you know, since the cement is here, I'm sure there should be some sort of shadow at the bottom. Let's press on V, select the ground. Let's create another layer on top here of that particular background. Let's call this shadow and change normal to soft light. Press on B, resize the brush to be something smaller, and let's first add in the shadow for the bull. Change. Okay, we're doing something wrong here. Make sure the color is black. Press on D to quickly switch the palette to black. Okay, then we're gonna just color it. Just brush it. Very subtle. You can see how realistic it's coming up here. There you go. Like that. And just at the leg part over here, I'm gonna zoom in and brush at the edge of the bull. Just a bit, not so much. Okay, that looks realistic already. Also the bull, we need to also add in some shadows. Let me quickly fix the ground one first. Okay, that looks good. Okay, next we are going to create a fake shadow for the cement. And how are we going to do that? Create a new layer, call it to base shadow. Okay, make sure normal turn to soft light. Now press on L very quickly. You'll get a polygonal lasso. If you don't get this particular polygonal lasso, you probably have another tool that's selected underneath that particular selection. So just look for polygonal lasso. And after that, I want you to create shape. So I am going to just zoom in here and show you guys how to do that. I am going to first go at the edge of this shadow like this, like that, and I am going to just drag it here and then like that, and then go back here and select. So this particular selection have been done, and the reason is because we're going to create a fake shadow for this, right? And I want you to turn your brush or cursor to G. Press on G. So what happens is that you'll get a gradient again. I don't want you to add in gradient. I want you to put a bucket, a black bucket color inside. So switch, keep pressing on Shift and G until you get a bucket and drop the color. So what you get is the very harsh looking shadow, which doesn't make sense at all because it's too harsh, it's too sharp, right? And we're going to fix that. How? On the base shadow, I want you to just lower down the opacity. And when you do that, you lower down the opacity like this. And I don't think so the sun's light is very harsh right now. It's very subtle. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do another treatment. When the base shadow is being selected, I want you to quickly go to filter, blur, look for Gaussian blur. When you press on that one, again, don't set it too high. You can see how the preview looks like at the background here. I want you to reduce it to something like that. Isn't that real? Right? Because the sun is on top. So it might even drag, or even the shadow might look a bit longer. Well, no harm. We can always resize it. Press on it, press on Shift so that you can drag the shadow. Just like that. Press on Enter. Ta-da! We are done with the shadow of that particular base. Right? Everything looks good. It's time to also do some adjustment to the cement, right? As I said earlier, the cement is now right on top of a ground. So obviously when there's something on the ground, there should be some layering or something goes up and down that rise up from the ground, probably a dead grass and whatever not, right? We are going to do that effect. So I want you to press on V, select this base. Obviously the shadow will be selected because it's on top of the cement, and I want you to go back to the cement layer, press on the masking feature. Let's look for a right brush. I am looking for very rough looking, as if I resize, you probably get to see it, very rough looking brush, so that I have this very rough looking surface at the bottom here. I am going to just zoom in here like this. I am going to just brush it. Oops, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing here. I'm going to mask this cement. My bad. So cement is not the right place for you to do the masking. My bad. You need to drag that to the dustbin. You need to mask the rectangle. So let's do that. And then now, if you do that, can you see that? Let me just zoom in a bit more. You get to see how we're doing the bottom part of the base so that it doesn't look so straight up. So it's like you have some sort of like a dimension or depth to it, right? So we're gonna create this, and we're gonna again move front and do the same here. Just a very random what do you call brushing, so that it's more realistic. Else it doesn't make sense to have a very sharp or straight looking base, right? There you go. That looks good. Yeah. Okay, can you see that? That looks much better now. Okay, now that we're done with these, it's time to also work on the base, which is right on top here. But I think it would be nice to just place on our next stock image before we work on the surface, right? What we're going to do is we're gonna hide the sun here. We're gonna go right on top of the bull. No, wrong. We're gonna go right below it here, and we're going to drag in our next stock image, which will be Shiva Linga. There you go. This is an image. Again, I'm going to just resize it like this. I'm going to also lower down the opacity. Why? Because I am about to position the what do you call Shiva Linga right on top of the cement. But if you notice, there's something that we need to do. The cement, the perspective of that particular cement is further behind, meaning we need to drag even more. So no worries. Let's position it here first, like that. Okay. And what we're gonna do is leave it the way it is now. Press on V, which will be the cement, which will be the rectangle tool. I want you press on Control T and then press on Shift so that we drag that base like this, and then but we slanted it even more. So right click distort, slant it even more, and then we're going to just bring it down slightly. There you go. And then what we do is the cement texture we added earlier, just resize it like that. Press on Shift. There you go. This looks good. And let's turn on the opacity 100%. Time to remove Shiva Linga from the background. So all you have to do is press on W, select subject. Let's see if everything gets selected. Oh, we want this area. Let's just press on shift and press on that particular lasso feature. I want this. I don't want this part of the background, so I'm gonna press on option, which will remove that selection, and I just want this area over here. Again, very manual work. Always love manual work. I think I learned a lot from here. Okay, I don't need this selection. That looks good. Everything else gets selected. I like the cloth here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on Shift, polygonal lasso. I want this to be there because this looks realistic and it will look good on the image. Okay, that looks good. Everything else is selected. I don't need this red color part of the cloth. Okay, press on Shift. Again, I want this particular selection. Okay, looks good. Now time to press on the masking. There you go. Done. But if you notice, the color does not match, obviously, because it's taken from another image. What I meant was, because this is kind of like an indoor, right? The image was taken indoor. We need to make sure that we adjust the lighting of this Shiva Linga so that as if it's right outside, right? Not, I mean, outdoor, not indoor. So first, we're going to adjust some masking here. Press on M. For the marquee selection, I want to remove this part of the base. Again, switch the color palette to black and white. Make sure the selection is white color. In order to do that, just press on X. When you do that, if it's black and white at the background, press on X, it will switch it. And I want you to just remove it just like that. Done. Everything looks good, but I am not so happy obviously with the color and everything. I need to brighten up Shivalinga. And how am I going to do that? I want you to just press on Shivalinga's layer, drag, click and drag the image. You get two image. Again, we're going to mask each of this image on top of each other. Press on Alt or Option button. There you go. Go to normal to screen. When you do that, it brighten up the entire image. There you go, like this. But if you notice, because of the sun positioning that I talked earlier, which resides on the top left of my artwork, there are certain areas at the bottom of the, or should I say the right side bottom of Shivalinga need to look slightly darker. So it's okay. So once you're done with that one, again, the top area everything looks brighter, but the bottom is not. We're going to adjust the lighting very quickly. So if you show in height, you get to see before and after, right? So again, press on the black top layer of that Shivalinga. Press on B. We're going to look for a very smooth brush like this, and I am going to just erase, if you notice, the back part of Shivalinga. Why? Because the lighting is coming from here. So when it hits down, this area has to look dark. So that's the reason why we are making sure everything looks dark here. And even Shivalinga up here, I think it should look dark as well. Just this part here, and okay, I'm just roughly brushing. Okay, that looks good. Again, we need to brighten it even more, right? Because you can see the light versus the bull here, right? It's slightly brighter. So I am going to quickly mask, should I say just group it, right? When you group, how do you group is that you press on that particular layer, press on shift, press on another image that you've selected, right click, change to smart object. Let's call this Shivalinga, probably not copy. And I want you to create a new layer right on top of it. Let's call this light, and from normal I want you to change to screen. And how to get a brighter lighter, just look for any colors that's on top of the area, probably here, that looks good. And I want you to just zoom in and just brighten up the area that you think the sun will hit. There you go, like this. That looks good. And just brighten up the front area as well, just a bit. Okay, that looks good already. Again, let me just keep reminding this, is that lighting adjustment is super important if you want a very solid looking photo manipulations, right? So if you don't do all this, like if I hide the light, can you see before and after? Without this, your photo manipulation will not look real. Okay, now that we're done with these, everything looks good. Time to do some adjustment to Shivalinga itself. I want to just add in some detailing. Create new layer. Here, let's call this mark. We're going to do this marking of Shivalinga. We're going to zoom in even more. And I want to color pick this area here. And I want to select that color. I'm going to just zoom in even more. And again, using whatever brush that I've selected earlier, I'm going to just, again, roughly creating the mark that I was talking about. You know, usually they have this I think sandal, and then they have a red color kungumum, that's what we call it. I don't know what you call it in English. There, like these. And I am going to just create again, go to the color palette and choose a nice looking red, not too intense. And let's zoom in even more, like these. And then let's just color it like that. Again, manual work. Okay, I'm happy with this. Yeah. Again, if you want to add in the lines, you know, the three lines, you can do so, but I don't want to go too detailed because I kind of like this already, right? That looks good. And I am going to zoom in even more to remove certain things that I'm not happy with. I'm going to go to the Shivalinga, press on masking. Again, with the brush that I have selected earlier, I'm to remove the certain black marks around Shivalinga because it looks pretty harsh, so I'm going to just remove here as well. Again, try to make it look cleaner as well. There you go. Here I like that, and this sharp black edges, I don't need it, so I'm gonna remove it. Okay, nice. We are getting there. Now that we're done with this, would be nice to actually add in some color lookup. So if you watch my video earlier, you get to learn what is color lookup is. Color lookup is like Instagram filters, filter that you add into your photos in Instagram. Similarly, you can also do it here, but in here we call it color lookup. So let's go right on top of this layer, create a new layer, change that particular, or choose the feature that I was talking about here into, change it into color lookup. When you do that, I want you to look at this image, right? Overall, we can change the whole color thing. Color lookup, you'll get a pop-up, a property bar here. There's few filters that's already built in within your computer once you have Photoshop, and you can actually go in and select the one you like. There are few here that I kind of like. Let's just give you a demo. Tension green will create a green tint. Teal or contrast will give you a very contrasty looking colors. Soft, very soft warming looking colors. Night, if you want to create a night scenery, imagine having a moon in the background. Wow, that's another idea I'm talking about here, right? So again, it's all up to you. Go crazy, go creative. And then late sunset, you probably get a late sunset, and then you want to have a Kodak filter, you have a future bleak, which will be a very muted colors. There's another one I kind of like here, right? I'll always use fall colors for my photo manipulations because it bring out the colors is very rich. And also there are a few more here. I kind of like, there's one that I want to show you guys. I think it's the candlelight. Can you see the color? Let me show and hide that one more time, right? Let's go to the layer and show you. This is before and this is after. Isn't that amazing? Right? You don't have to adjust the color one by one. Like, again, always adjust the color, the base first. Make sure the base is correct. Base meaning change the hue of each of this, and then you add in the filter. More realistic it will look. Now that we're done with this, I kind of like it, but there are a few more things that we need to do. If you look at the result, or the result that we're looking at right now, right? There are a few things that I want to adjust or add in. Is the red color marks that's on Shivalinga. I want to create that. And how do I do that? I will go to Shivalinga, create new layer, just drag the layer on top of the mark. Let's call this 8 marks. This is the kungumams, the powders that will kind of drop within Shivalinga. I want to create that. In order to do that, I'm going to change to overlay, change my color to red, and let's see what happens, right? Again, be realistic. Just make sure that you drop the color where it's supposed to be the base. Can you see that I'm coloring right now? I want to have a bit of red here. So imagine it drops at the bottom here. And then, as you know, there's few stages of Shivalinga, right? So I want it to even drop at the bottom here a bit. The red kind of bring in more realistic look. So here, and then it kind of drop here. Again, at the back of my head, I am actually looking at this in real life. That's how you create more realistic looking manipulation. So I'm going to drop the mark here and a bit on the base, right? Like this, and even more here. find a right brush and then you can start coloring it. Again, why overlay? So that it shows the detailing of the texture. Okay, even more here. We're gonna just do it there. There you go. Again, we need more on the cement. We are going to also add that. Okay, that looks realistic already. Okay, good. The cement, let's press on V. Selected. I'm going to create a new layer. Let's call this red mark. And change normal to overlay. And drop the color. Just a bit. As if it gone down here, right? There you go. There you go. If you don't add this kind of detailing, everything looks like meh, if you ask me, right? So we're gonna quickly hide the red marks just to show you guys how it looks like before and after. There you go. Everything looks clean. When you add in the marks, it looks more realistic, right? That looks good. And next, we're gonna adjust the base. Remember what I told earlier? Lighting is super important. We haven't fixed the cement yet for the top one here. So let's do that. Right on top of the cement, I want to create a new layer called this soft light. No, sun's light. And change this to soft light. And let's change our gradient. Oops, what just happened? Just zoom in. And press on G, Shift G. There you go. You don't want red, you want brighter color. Let's pick the brighter color from here itself. And the gradient looks amazing. So right on top of the cement, we are going to just, can you see that? Let me do one more time. That area has to be brighter, right? Without that, then it doesn't look right, right? Let's see before and after. But we also need to make sure that we add in a darker shadow that comes from the Shivalinga. Let's create a new layer. Call this Shift Links Shadow. And let's change normal to soft light. Press on B. Color is not right. Make sure it's black. So press on D. When you press D on your keyboard, automatically the color palette changes to black and white. So we're going to zoom in here and do a bit of shadow effects. So imagining the shadow hits to the base of that particular that comes from Shivalinga. There you go. So that it's more realistic. We are getting there. Everything looks good. Again, there's another manipulation, stock image that I want to insert in. We need a bit of flower on top of Shivalinga. It doesn't make sense to just make it empty, right? So I have this jasmine flower, but I want it to be right on top of where Shivalinga is. What we're going to do now is that we're just gonna select just one part of the flower. We don't need everything. Press on Shift W until you get a selection tool, which will be this one. So let's select only this flower here. Let's do that one more time. Just this flower. Okay, even if you selected the other part, no worries. Mask it. And if you notice, because the image was not so detailed, we're gonna remove a manual fixing for this. Just zoom in here. Let's mask out the black area. Very quickly. Done. We don't need that. There you go. So for this, we're gonna resize very small. Again, you can go very detailed or not. Depends on you. Because it will be really tiny, it's easy to fix in terms of lighting. Again, I'm gonna put in the flower over there. Let's resize it even more. Like that. We need to remove the bottom area. It doesn't make sense from this perspective, the bottom part visible. So let's do that. And let's clean up the edges around it. Like this. And it has to be slightly brighter. Let's move bottom part here. We can always duplicate things, right? I duplicate the layer and I will right click and make it a flip horizontal because I am going to do some adjustment to it, make it small as if there are more flowers, and I'm going to mask, zoom in and remove this area over here. There you go, like that. And let's select both of those layers, press on V so that you can move the flower in the middle. Perfect. Group it, or you can change it to smart object. Let's call this jasmine flowers. That is perfect. I want you to go up here, image, adjustment, brightness, so that we can brighten up the jasmine flower. There you go. If you zoom out, looks good. Maybe we can do a bit more masking. Zoom in, remove even more of the bottom area, clean it a bit. There you go. We have a bit of flower on top of Shivalinga. Now that we're done with this, it's time to import in our last stock image, which would be the bell. So I am going to bring in the bell here. If you notice, it's huge, so we're gonna just resize this a bit smaller like this. Press on W and make sure you select subject, remove the white areas. Hopefully the white areas will be removed. Let's mask it. Yep, everything has been removed. Let's check that very quickly. Not all, just a bit here. There's white stain. Yeah, that works. Okay, now that we're done with this, time to do some adjustment to the bell. So right above the bell, let's add in adjustment of the brightness. Right on top of the bell, press on Alt so that it's masked just for the bell. And the property bar will pop out at the bottom if you press on the sun here. And then you decrease the brightness. Why? Because it's not really bright, but then we need to remove the brightness of this. We remove that and then reduce the contrast. It's very contrasty right now. Reduce the contrast. And again, I feel like the colors are pretty intense. Let's tone down the color. How? Control U, and let's reduce the saturation like that, and let's darken it a bit like that. Okay, cool. But everything gets darkened, which doesn't make sense. The bottom, I mean the front part of the bell has to be brighter. Well, no worries. Since we have brightness up here, we are going to press on the square of the brightness and do some masking. Switch to B. When you switch to B, you'll get a brush. Let's increase the brush slightly, zoom in, and then you will need to do a bit of manual work where you need to color or brush off the front part of the bell like this, right? Don't brush the other side because obviously the sun is right on top, right? You don't have to do coloring there. Just brush the front part like this. Okay, that looks good. And if you notice, I have few bells. And how do we do that? Well, you just need to group these two very quickly. Let's make it a group. So how do you make a group? Press on that two layer, brightness and the bell. Press on Control G or Command G. You actually can group things like both of this are one in one group. Let's call this bell, and we're going to do some duplication. How do you duplicate? Press on Control J or Command J. And when you do that, you get a bell copy. And where's the bell exactly? It sits right on top of each other. Again, you can move Control T and move things. And again, you don't want to have the same size of bell, right? Side by side. Let's create a different momentum. Let's resize this on top here. And then go back to the bell. Control J or Command J again. Take that particular bell, move things around like this, and then again go back to the bell, Control J again, and then you move this maybe a smaller, it gets smaller there. Let's have 5. Let's go back to the another bell again, Control J, move it up here but not so down, maybe here. There's 4. We need one more, so create another bell, move it up here. No, I want to bring it up here. Again, up to you, get creative. Now it's not really in a center position. Again, I can be really OCD when it comes to that. I am going to just select on the bells Again, how? Press on shift, press on all the bells, and change your cursor to, again, press on V and move, right? I want it to be really slightly center. Okay, that works. Yeah, everything looks good and the lighting looks great. But there's one last stock image that I want to insert. Again, if you notice my stock images, I have few. Let's go back to the stock image and I show you very quickly. We still have the dirt looking cement. We're gonna add in that. How? We are going to drag in the dirt looking cement. Let's go back to the base here. Right on top of this cement that's selected, I want you to drag in that image of the cement. Make sure you press on Alt option. There you go, like this. Again, it doesn't make sense to have a very clean looking cement anyway. Let's twist it all the way around this way. And I want you to change this to overlay so that the texture of the bottom cement still can be seen. Again, I'm going to just resize it like this. There you go. It makes more sense to have some sort of like, why? Because again, realistically, it's outside on an open space, it rains. Again, I want to just create more like a realistic look manipulation. If you find it very harsh, let's reduce the opacity of that texture. But I still want it, you know why? Because I want to have a realistic looking texture. Okay, that works. Everything looks good. And are we done? I think we did. And now if I check time very quickly, we done this photo manipulation within 1 hour. So again, yeah, within 1 hour, using all the stock images that I showed earlier with all the tricks of adding shadow and lights and everything, just to make sure that it looks perfect, it takes 1 hour. And imagine what can you do in 5 hours or so. So this message that I always convey to you guys is that it's super important to practice. Time flies, but it's also your responsibility to capture those time, utilize it in a way that you level up your skills. That's what I always do. I always train myself to make sure that I do a very good work. Is that I do a lot of practice. I play with a lot of like what do you call manipulations, because I want to make sure that I do a lot of work so that makes me happy, and also it develops my skill when it comes to photo manipulation. There you go. Let me just make that full screen so that you guys can see how this can be achieved within 1 hour, right? So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed my tutorials. There's a lot more to come, and if you haven't watched my previous photo manipulation tutorial, please do so. There's a lot of tips that I like to share. There's more to share actually, and I hope that we will get to create more stuff in the future. But for now, thank you so much, and if you like my video, again, always give me a like, subscribe if you haven't. These are my social media handles. If can, follow, and I'll be very happy and grateful, so that it also gives me some sort of like a motivation to create more videos, right? Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.